My name is Bob Gerhardt, and I just turned 100. And I don't feel any older.
My name is Nina or Nina. When it's Nina, it's back east. When it's Nina, it's here in Arizona. I was born in Harvey, Illinois, and I have an older brother, a younger brother, and a younger sister.
Me llamo Olga.
My name is Olga Salinas Villarreal. I was born in Nava, Coahuila.
Well, my full name was Gwendolyn, but when I was growing up and a kid, I was Gwenny, and then it finally became Gwen, and that's what it's been for the last 100 years.
I was born Anna Clay Zimmerman in 1917, and I married my husband in 1940. And we were both school teachers, and I taught art in Lexington, Missouri, in high school. And then I was also supervisor of the elementary school. So we did some fantastic things. Children always do wonderful art.
I grew up during the Depression. I experienced the Depression and then World War II, and then during the Depression, my father lost a very good job and we lost our home, and you know, the whole schmo. Everybody went through it. I lived in a very small town.
My mom, we didn't have to worry about who came and went at that time. She'd leave a cake on the table and a pot of coffee on the stove, and you could come in and have a piece of coffee and cake and be on your way. No bars, no nothing, just happy, healthy people.
Dos carros.
There were only 2 cars in our entire town. One day they went out for a drive. One car took one street and the other car took a different street. And then one of the cars turned a corner and the 2 cars crashed into each other.
I was a reporter in the Reading Times morning newspaper. And naturally, I'd interview everybody that came along.
When I went to IBM, it ended up that they had moved to Texas. And so I worked with them for 6.5 years, putting the motherboards on TVs. And I also, if the motherboard failed, you had to repair it.
But then came to notice that they were starting the Women's Army Corps and they were looking for college graduates to become officer candidates. So that's where I started my army. And I was one of the first 200 from the USA to be selected to go in as officer candidates without any previous military training or background.
I've never considered myself a true artist, although I was honored while I was teaching as one of the 6 teachers in the state of Missouri who worked on the curriculum guide for art. That was during the 1970s, I think.
Harry was a candidate for United States Senator, and he came to Reading, and I interviewed him. And I went to the hotel, and I got to the door of his room. He was alone, and he was undressed, half undressed, and putting a shirt and all that bit on. And he called me right in and closed the door, and he says, "I'm going to put my shirt on, but you do the interview while I'm getting dressed." And you can't get more informal than that. And I had a great interview with Harry Truman.
I shook hands with President Truman. I saw President Ford at a DAR convention. I've had my picture taken with Lute Olson. I've also had my picture taken with John Tesh.
And I met a lot of people, and the one person that I met that we kind of had something in common to talk to was Ina Giddings. And she was the head of the PE department at the U of A. The building is named after her. Well, Ina Giddings and I became buddies because she drove an ambulance in England in World War I. And because of my military experience, we had a common bond. And so during that 6 weeks that I was going to stay out here, about the middle of that, she called me one day and she says, "How would you like to come and teach for me?"
You know, at 17, I asked God for 2 questions. Please let me dance, and please let me see your whole universe, how beautiful it is. I danced with every band that was up there in Chicago at the Trinidad and the Aragon ballrooms. Oh, I have seen so much, and I thank God for every minute of the wonderful things that I've seen and done.
We didn't have any electricity back then in my town. And in the evening, us girls and boys would only have permission to leave the house and take a stroll when there was a full moon. And when there was a full moon is also when we'd have our town dances.
I've had a good life. I can't complain about anything. I made mistakes. I sinned a lot. I know that. And yet I've had a wonderful life.
It's a funny thing, when I got into those 80s and 90s, you stabilize. You know, you're always 89, you're always 90, you have all that experience going with you. You take it along. And people come to you also.
I'm very much into having friends, and I've always had a lot of friends. And if you feel strongly about something, you don't always have to convince everybody else about it. You know, you're just one of the crowd, and nothing's worth getting into fights about. I don't know, I just like getting along with everybody.
I don't like people giving me gifts. The only thing I care for is for people to give me love and to see me with love.
God has been so good to me. I've had my pitfalls and I've had my mountains, and I love the mountaintops.